with your special child or your toddler or your preschooler even. So our son, who was diagnosed with Down syndrome, he's now 6 years old. He was locked up in this thing right behind me here. Yep, when I say locked up, I mean the doors were locked and everything like that going on. I'll show you. Just like this. And we didn't know it was in there. So, if you're a mom or a caregiver or a dad, family at home with a child with special needs or typical children, we just have to be very vigilant. So what happened? He just came back from outside from a bicycle ride with his sibling, and it seems like he wanted to do a little hide and seek. He took his shoes off and he came to me and said, Mom, Mom. And I turned around and I answered him. He said something to me. It wasn't clear as what he said. And I said, okay. But he ran off. And so maybe about 3 minutes passed and it get very quiet. Thank you so much for joining. And then it get quiet. And I was like, where is he? And so we went on a search through the house. I mean, we know he didn't went outside because I was in the proximity to the door. And I was like, we finished all the rooms and still couldn't find him. And the minute we called out, but something tell me, don't just fob it off like a regular, he went downstairs or, probably outside with the key. Those gas station? Something rose up inside of me and it's like, keep looking. So I started to call his name very loud, right? As we keep searching through the place. So as I shout him out, I hear a sound, but it sound muffled. And so we run and come in the direction, really call him loud again. And there he was, locked up into the dryer. And I'm telling you, he started to sweat. What I learned from this, as parents and caregivers, we can't even be too careful, and we can't just brush things off because somebody might have said this, it was rude, but you have to remember that about the brain development. Children with special needs like toddlers, preschoolers, they are immature. They're not thinking straight because the brain is developing. So we as parents, we cannot be vigilant. I'm telling you, it frightened me because I started to think, what if I wasn't home? What if nobody paid attention? What if nobody realized what was going on? What would happen to this child? And I'm telling you, it's hard. The place is hard. I mean, we haven't used the machine all day, but what would happen? What could have happened? A lot of adverse things could have happened. And so this is not to scare us, but this is, I think, is to, kind of like learn the hard way and then teach. Learn and share, right? Oh, thank you so much for joining. And so you see this oftentimes that, can I just be real right now? I'm kind of a little bit frightened, so I have to go around and get my glass of water and say, okay, let's come and talk to my mamas, because these are not stuff you're going to find in no parenting book, right? And so these are also things that let's say medical professionals ain't going to tell you that these children are going to be children. And so all we have to do is just get on board. Hi guys, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate that. Is not me alone talking right here. And so you ain't gonna find these kind of things in a real parent book. So these are real lived experiences, guy. And I'm telling you, this is like, as it happened, I'm like grabbing him out of there, thanking God that I wasn't anywhere else and nobody never anywhere else, because he could have sitting there. It's just recently, and I'm probably going to find that link and probably link it to you, but not to frighten you, but it's to help us as parents and caregivers to be vigilant, that when we say yes to when we say yes, okay, when we say yes to being the voice and having our children with special needs and bring them in the world, we're saying yes with no problem at all. You know, I wouldn't change it for nothing. I mean, this situation, though it's frightening, could not let me change my mind about, saying no to a termination suggestion from my gynecologist 6 years ago. It couldn't have changed my mind. Never. But when you think about it, you ain't going to see these things in a notebook. And so we have to like look out for each other as parents and caregivers who's on the journey, right? And so it take me great pleasure to not necessarily to learn things this hard way like this and then share, but as it happened, you kind of feel like you jump into share this mode, because children with special needs and like other children, typical children, the supervision is serious, right? Not that we have to be paranoid, but it's we have to like always be on it, be on it, be on it, be vigilant. The minute they get quiet is too long, right? And so it kind of really I kind of start to think, what if? What if we weren't at home? What if? And so this my our son is 6 years old, and so this is a ripe old age for a child his age who want to play hide and seek. I'm just saying it's probably hide and seek him want to play, right? Because he did come up to me and say something to me. But as you know, if you're parenting a child, if you're parenting a child with special needs, what happened? Somebody say ask what happened. He locked my son. We couldn't find him for about 3 5 minutes, and he was locked up into the dryer. So all I can say is that it probably was playing in his mind, thinking he was playing hide and seek. But I didn't know it was that was what he was gonna do. He come and say something to me and then run off. And then about 3 minutes in, I'm like, where is him? And then we start search. Go through the house, upstairs, downstairs, can't find him. He was locked up in here and sweating. Don't take much. So I said I want you to just, share it with us, because we have to look out for each other as parents and as caregivers of the children, with or unique. I know it was kind of frightening, but it is not atypical for a child of this kind of age wanting to play hide and seek. And anywhere they can get to go, they're going to go, go lock up themselves, and you're supposed to come find them, right? So I think we want to just implore us to just be vigilant, right? Don't go crazy, don't go overlay, they can't come out of your sight. But the hearing, they know, oh, if it get too quiet too long, it's too long, right? And so what did I learn from this? I think I learned from this, like, we can't really, you cannot have supervision no matter when. I mean, if you're around the corner, that's a fine, no problem, you know? And then the next thing we have to go sharpen up on is put on, get back some more of those, baby locks to put on the door and the doorknob, right? Let me know in the comment, what do you do? What do you have any scary moment? What is the most scariest thing that you ever experienced? And share it. Share it so that we can all be aware now, of the possibilities and whatnot. Because as I said, they're at the age where they wanting to play, they're exploring. The brain is growing. But though he's 6 years old, a special child is not functioning at the level of a typical child with who's 6 years old. Neurologically, they're probably at, depends on how socialized they are too. They're probably functioning at about 4 to 5 years old. That's young, right? And so, what are your scariest moments parenting a child with special needs or a typical child? Let me know, because that's how we're going to grow and be encouraged. So, he was locked up inside of this thing. So, you know, it just reminds me that we can't really be too careful, and at the same time, it can be too not vigilant. It's just the other day I hear of a situation. You can find it on YouTube here too. of a child who was, he was autistic, and I say was because the ending wasn't good. He was autistic, and he went out to play, the grandmother said, and she saw him, and then as soon as she saw him, he ran. But he ran somewhere, and afterwards she didn't see him. Where he turns. 3 days passed, guys. 3 days passed, and it's after the body started to smell. They found this child, 8 years old, autistic. He go lock himself up in an old car. So that's kind of like straight to where my mind went a while ago. It's like, Jesus. It's not even long since I hear about that situation. And so, and the next thing, so, we have to be a little bit more vigilant. Always kind of like somebody's on duty. And we kind of good with that. But as we said, you can't be too careful. And worse, your children not communicating like typical children, where they can just come up to you and said, "Can we play hide and seek?" or something like that. It's not that clear, right? And so the next thing, being vigilant, and then I'm going to get back some baby locks, like the thing you put over the door under like this, you know, those things where them can't really necessarily open it so well. Even though the guy is so advanced, he will just break them off. But if anything, we probably should do is just change the lock and put a lock and key on the door, so that when the laundry room is not in use, we just lock it, right? So we start strategize already, and that's what we have to do. Is just come up with different strategies, right? So when we say yes to parenting a child who's different, we're saying yes to a lot of things. We're saying yes to be patient, yes to be loving, right? We're saying yes, we're going to, not be selfish. We're saying yes, that the people and the environment that we're bringing them into, we're going to do our best to, to ensure their safety, and also the exploration and the development at the same time. Because can you imagine if we just keep him into one locked area, you know, he never get to move around his own home, then that's kind of like no fun as well. But then this is where we have to be even more vigilant, because now I'm thinking about all of the different things that even could be danger to, and you never know when he's wanting to explore. This is bleach right here, right? We have the capability to put everything on the top shelf. So this is just going to mean, re-strategizing in the environment. Let me know what is your biggest scary moment that you ever had. Jesus, something in the water. What is one of those things that really scare you? So I've been a caregiver for, Lord Jesus, maybe about 2 decades or more. That's the job I did. Um, Back in my country, I'm from Jamaica, and so always working with children and adults with special needs. I'm also a certified CNA. But since we have our son, we just like commit to one parent work out of the home. So it's not easy, but and you can't be so careful where you can say, it never happened, it won't happen to me, we have it together. We kind of think we have it together, but as the teachable moments pop up, you realize that there's always an avenue to be more careful or be more vigilant. And so we're going to put some more locks on the door handle, right? Probably change the lock. I think we should just change the lock and put a lock and key, on the laundry room, and just lock it. That's probably a good idea, right? Another thing too, where you probably never see this, or you probably have experienced it, is I've seen him hide already inside of the house. I've seen him gone inside of the closet, the shoe closet, and then he locked the door. But of course, it's not like him locked down into something like this, metal and such, right? And the thing is, it took us a few minutes that night to find him. And he was just standing there inside of the shoe closet. So be vigilant about this. The children are in this exploratory stage, right? They don't understand danger. And so we just have to be vigilant. And so the next thing we realize is most accidents is gonna happen inside of the home. It's what's gonna happen inside of the home. So we can't be too careful. And what we're talking about here, let's reset this. Let's somebody just join. So my son was looking for him and couldn't find him, and after about 5 minutes, 3 minutes, I realized he was missing, and then we searched for 2 minutes, certain areas, and then I started to shout him, and hear a sound, only to come find him sit down, crisscross applesauce inside of the machine here. And so I wanted to share with us and just, just be vulnerable with how situation can happen and how simple it look. And just like that. I don't have no problem to learn some of the hard ways and then share so that you are somebody who can just tighten up a little bit. We can't get too comfortable as caregivers and parents of children in general, typical children and children with special needs, right? So it's just this place where we have to share. We have to be okay. And I'm absolutely okay. And that's why I even create this channel so that we can be very transparent, right? And why I choose transparency is because after we were told that we were going to have a son with Down syndrome. Doctor said we could just terminate him because it's going to be a burden to the family and all of that. All the negative connotations. And so we decided that, look, we're gonna go on this journey either or. Right? We are not new to caregivers. We were looking for him for hours. Oh my God, where was he? Was he hiding somewhere? Where was he hiding? He got stuck in the. Oh my God! You see, I'm telling you. Is these are real? Thank you for sharing. These are real things, right? And that's why we can't even be ashamed and afraid. I mean, look, the minute I was like, Jesus, I take him out and I was like, I really talked to him really firm, and I tap him on his hands a little bit. I open his palm and his hands, and I give him a couple of fingers spanking inside of the palm of his hand and said, this is not your play area, right? And so it can't be afraid to do that. It's like, I know, I understand brain development. Gee, my phone going. I understand his brain is developing, but I also understand that he's learning as well. So after telling me, I tap him in the palm of his hand and say, you don't play in this area. This is to dry your clothes and nothing else. Right? And you ain't doing laundry in here. So unless I call you in there and say, come and get the dry laundry and let's go, practice folding them up. I speak to him very firm because I want him to know this is not a play area. But so even, brain developing and whatnot, we still have to, redirect the behavior. So hopefully not do it again, but still put in place things that we just kind of like solve a problem by the next end and be vigilant and anticipate possible problem, which, right? So anyway, we choose to be the voice. Thank you for sharing that. You see that? And so we decided to be the voice after he told us it could terminate him. I was like, no. God said, he knows from before he formed us in our mother's womb, so we know that he have a purpose here. So the minute we say yes, we already know it's going to be a big responsibility. It's going to be this journey. But what else? What else? What else does life? What kind of meaning else does life have outside of taking care of family and whatnot? Wouldn't it be service? I think it's service to humanity. So that one yes that we said, we use that insultive way of telling us to terminate our son because it's going to be different, to write a book. So we wrote a book, wrote the story, we wrote the entire, we're very transparent. We share the whole journey of conception to the termination suggestion to just the faith journey, the faith walk with this child from pregnancy up until now. So we wrote that book. We just got published on Amazon this year. So we have a Kindle and a physical book out there. And so we have this channel, I have my other channel. I share, I share the story. If you go on Google and put in Marsha Wygum, you're gonna find our Down syndrome journey story. Why did I do that? It's so we can spread hope. Like what I'm doing right now, I have nothing else to gain besides bringing awareness that in the home is the most dangerous place for each of us. You can slip and fall. You can step on something, on the floor, something drop on the floor, pin, broken bottle, whatnot. Never know where the splinter went. Your foot get cut. You slip and fall in the bath, in the kitchen, something drop. The home is the most dangerous place, but it's also the most safest place as well. And so, because in the home we have a common goal is to take care of the child and to nurture, then we try to be on it, right? So that's kind of like what I want to share with you. Can I not say don't get too comfortable? Because you solve one problem right now. Well, somebody might say, then where is he now? So I am out to one of the siblings and say, you're in control. If you have to do anything else, just carry him gone, right? So we can while me share with someone else. And before me leave here, this bleach have to go all the way up top there, because you never know when you're going to come in here and trying to be exploring and do what we see we doing, putting chemical in machine, starting the machine and so on, right? So we also have a community on Facebook, and it's called Parenting Down Syndrome, where we share stuff, and we have the YouTube channel here. Please subscribe and help me to spread this. When you subscribe, then the algorithm will move the channel along, so whoever need to find it will find it. Probably you don't run into anything. I know two persons share their experience, but can you imagine the next parent? Can you imagine the next household that probably have just one parent in there, or probably it's a grandma or an aunt or a cousin who don't have no experience with children, and just being vigilant and trusting the intuition, because that's what me have to do most of the days. It's trusting my intuition to protect this child and the family, right, in the home. I mean, it's not easy, guys, but it's doable, and I wouldn't trade it for nothing else. And so the more we can share is the more I hope that parents who just get the diagnosis will decide not to terminate these babies, right? Because it's typically like parenting any other children, the typical children. I'm a mom of 6, right? So we have 5 typical kids and our son with Down syndrome. So I know what I'm talking about. But it's not like that. My other 5, 6-year-old, when they were 6, they're not doing nothing like this. Something else, but not go lock up in a no stuff. But kids do it, right? The boy I told you about, he was 8 years old, but he was also a special child. So we just have to be vigilant. And it's like, it feels like asking parents and caregivers to do more on top of what we're doing already. Huh? But we have to treat them like we would have loved to be treated, because if I wasn't in my right mind, I would want somebody who is in theirs to help navigate me. And so when we see it like that, caring for others, it's like doing unto others as we would love to others to do unto us, right? So yeah, I'm like, give me some water. Let me go do a video and share with my friends, because we have to have each other's back. 1, 2, we have to do this so that the children that God bless us with are safe as much as we can. They're gonna explore. They're gonna fall and get boo-boos and such whatnot. But can you imagine? And then we don't think of checking the machines, right? I was ready to open up everything because I mean the washer is right next to the dryer, so I was ready to search everything down. Okay, so thank you so much for watching and listening. Share this video because you and I might, be chatting here now, but can you imagine the next home move? They just don't have it together like that, right? You can't anticipate danger. So subscribe so that is the algorithm can move this around, and that's one way of we doing our part, right? Learning and then teaching. That's what it is, right? We being vulnerable and okay with being vulnerable. I'm okay with said, hey, I don't always have it together. Hmm? If we don't be vigilant around here, I mean, always be my son is mixing things and I'm like, okay, son, that's not what, and he's mixing, he's exploring, which sometimes I sit back and watch, okay, exploration. Because that's how his brain is going to grow and develop, right? The brain grow by use. And so if them not get no chance to explore or, just set up activities for them to explore safely in, then they ain't gonna learn, right? And so, that's why I have to give him a two tap in his hands and say, no, this is not your play zone, son. And so, boy, that was really hard to see him come out of it, pull him out of there, and he was so sweaty. Wasn't long, but it didn't have to take long because the root, it's almost it's the temperature probably is about in the house here right now. Maybe it feels like about 70, 65. You know, but we're grateful. The Bible saying everything give thanks. Even when it's not favorable, it said give thanks. There's something to that. And we always have to go back there. That's the foundation for me. So yeah, check out our book. It's called Take His Hands, Our Faith Journey with Our Son's Down Syndrome Diagnosis. I'm just learning the word off the top of my head these days. And so we have a community of a special mom. Share this channel with someone. I hope, and drop me a comment. Let me know what kind of videos would you like to see. What would you like? What kind of resources? Probably you're not the one with that special child, but you probably know a neighbor. For some reason, for every neighborhood, I would have somebody who is different in it. You know, a child or a young adult or a full-blown adult. But in either case, we have no regret about this little man, this unbecoming man. It's an awesome young man. His name is Nathan Wygum. You see a little picture right there. And so we love him so much. We love him with love of the Lord, and we parent with love. Absolutely, we parent with love and patience and kindness, and gentleness. But as a mom, as a parent, as caregivers, we got to redirect behaviors. Okay, so we'll repeat again. And it may repeat again, but that would be only if we don't really put some measures in place right now, right? Like get a child lock and put it over the door. He can rip that off. No problem. Hey, Joe? Is all that? Oh, where's Nathan? Oh, good. So is this constant checking? God is so good. How are you doing? My goodness. Thank you so much for what you do. And here we are adding more to the list. It never stops, guys. Caring for people is never stop. It's just like caring for yourself, There's always this next level where you got to keep going. And you got to be patient too. We're looking for him for hours. Oh my God. And that's the thing, guys, is can I just say when it come on to situation like this, I think we have to probably as adults and caregiver, we could probably have to re-strategize how we search, right? And rule out some areas. One of the things that I find myself doing a while ago when we're looking for him is moving the shower curtain and look behind the shower curtain. We know I didn't went outside because I would hear the door, right? And the other kids are in the garage. So, the garage is right here. right? So they would have seen him in there. One thing I realized, I rule out the bathrooms, right? I go in my room and look on at the bed. So it's like these major points, search points. They have like 8 doors real quick. And if you have the resources, like the manpower, somebody outside, check into cars. That's another thing. They could go and slip into the car and lock the door. My goodness. So then we have to remind ourselves to lock the doors, even if going to run outside for a few, run inside for a few minutes. Lock the doors, lock the car doors, cause that's where they're going to probably, they see us go in the car all the time, so they're going to probably want to go in the car, right? So these major points, right? Do we have sheds? Check those real quick, right? What about egress windows? The windows for the basement windows on the outside there. Somebody go check those real quick because you're not sure if the covers, we have covers outside, and for that reason, we cover them egress windows outside. So somebody check those. So it's like rule out, check these major points so that they know sit in a dangerous zone for too long, right? Many times my special brother hides under the car for the hide and seek. Yeah, Jesus have mercy. You see what I'm talking about? Underneath the car for the hide and seek. Isn't this something? So, how old is your brother? Nando. How old is your? So you see what I'm saying? It's these places them go underneath the car, and you see if the car was open, they would slip inside of there. That's what happened to that little boy. The car, them said the old car was outside and then slip in there. So we have to be like, police times 100, right? We have to be like search. Can we not say search dogs? We have to be like search dog, like sniff it out, curious, kind of like search like you lost something big time, right? I was looking under the bed, and the next thing I realized, so guys, I to you said you 6 year. You see that? That's the number. You see what I'm saying? I said it earlier on. When they're in the 6-year-old stage, it's like the right stage for hide and seek, playing and exploration, right? Playing and learning. So, is that, I don't know. And if he's special and he's 6 years old, he's not even functioning already neurologically, and that would mean for where the brain is concerned, they're not even functioning from a 6-year-old growth and development. They're like 1 or 2 years behind, based on what we have learned, right? But the more socialized these children be, that would mean the more information and the more exploration they're getting is the more the brain is developing. So can you imagine a child who is not being interacted with? Can you imagine a child who just give them the television and the iPad, and they sit there and they play, and if you take the iPad from them, the world come crashing down? That's not a good socialized child, because um the brain information, we call it word, what one word, I have it in my mind. But the more socialization that they get is the more in a different kind of aspect, different kind of area, different kind of things in the environment, that they're exploring with stimulation. That's it. The more stimulate the brain is the more it's going to grow, and they're going to develop faster, and they're going to learn tips and tricks, because he's learning in the hide and seek thing. They do it with the other kids, do it with them, right? The hiding around the corner and saying, I'm gonna count, and let's see, 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna find you, right? They play that. It's typical for the children, right? So a child who's a little bit more socialized and be aware of these kind of games and so on, they're gonna want to do this more often than the child who just sit there with the iPad. Mom work late, probably work night. Dad is not home. You know, who knows? Not have much time for that kind of, down and dirty with them, right? So they're more, a little bit more, seems like a bit more reserved, a little bit more quieter. You can just leave them there, probably come back and find them sit down same place. But not the ones who are socialized, and you probably have a couple animals outside, so they run and play with the animals and so on and so forth, right? Or even have more older siblings at home who they explore with and all that thing. Those children are a little bit more socialized, and what's happening is the more stimulation they get. Rough and tumble, take them to the park, run them around the place, tickle and play, conversation, books to read. The more the child is socialized, especially when they're atypical special child, is more, the brains are a little bit more advanced. Okay? So it's not that we're supposed to keep that away from them. No, you want them to grow and develop. You want the brain to get the information. And so let me know if you want me to talk about something like that as well. And we can talk about focus topic too. And thank you so much for sitting there with me. I was so damn frightened too, right? My boy was up in here locked up. And so it's just like really, but God said, the word says, and everything give thanks. I'm so glad that we are, I'm here. And it's not like you leave them home and there's a kids minding them business, and which they're good siblings. They really are good siblings. And in our book, Take His Hands, our faith journey with our son, Down syndrome diagnosis, written by me and my husband, Marsha Weigum and Christopher Weigum. It's on Amazon and Kindle, and I think there's a link to in the description. In the book, we really talk about how awesome the siblings are. They really come on board in the faith, from a faith perspective, as just a family and a wall. Because I really believe that the environment is supposed to nurture the child. This is the most important thing. An environment that children, typical and special children, need to grow and develop. This is the environment that they're going to explore into. Yeah. This is where, if they're going to, be safe or not, this is where it happens. This is where inclusion happens. I don't care about community inclusion, because however we treat them inside the home, that's how people is going to treat them. They're going to see that how we treat them, and they're going to treat them just the same. So I don't even care. We have a great community. We have no problem. We're being special or being diverse. Is a problem, right? So God is good, and so keep taking care of that cousin of yours. And so these are those are the points we have to check when they go missing or so. And it's kind of really something though, because we do this at night and we're up and about, but you have some kids that get up at night, right? So like for instance, in his room we have one of those baby monitors, the little sound one, and it's like the other piece, come with two pieces. Also like a baby monitor, not the video one, right? Just the audio. And so we have peace in his room, and we have peace that sit right there on my nightstand, so that anything that abnormal, I'm just hopeful that it will wake one of us, right? So that's aspect of it too. They get up at night. But God is good, and we will never change this for nothing. We're so grateful. And listen, we have a free guide into the description section. I'm going to double check that. And then there's also a link there for how we can work together, because sometimes we just want somebody we can talk to. I have some coaching and some strategy sessions set up. If you're out there and you just need somebody to connect with, you don't have to do this alone. Because when you're in the journey of being a special parent, it can feel lonely. It can really feel lonely, because nobody else 6-year-old is doing certain things. They're at their own level of exploration. I probably need to get at the phone and go and die. They're at their own level of exploration. And so nobody else can relate. Oh, let me fill out the door here. Nobody else can relate with the things that we are kind of experiencing. So, um, you kind of have to make your own circle and community, right? And so we have some connection. We have some coaching sessions. If you feel like you're out there, you need some support or whatnot, we have that. I don't normally do too many clients per week. The maximum we do is 3 per week because we have to take care of my business. But we understand about service and ministry as well, right? So go get that free guide that we have in the description section. I think it have all the stuff about just faith and your marriage and so on, children, parenting. And so let me know if there's something that you want to explore. I have no problem. This is kind of like one of the things that God has me doing. Right beside and writing articles, writing book. I'm working on my own story right now, my own journey from being a single mom living back in Jamaica and coming to the States, experiencing domestic abuse, just a faith journey. I was a Christian from I was 16 years old, and the challenges and how I see God through all of that. Oh my gosh. I have a next channel called Marsha Wygum. Marsha Wygum Take His Hands, where I share my faith journey and the challenges and the story and the lessons learned. So go check that out. All right. Thank you so much for chatting. It was been a pleasure. Go get that free guide, and I want to really appreciate you for subscribing and just sharing the channel. So I'm gonna check on things right now, and until next time, please walk good. And as I learn, hopefully I don't want to learn the hard way, but it's from things that I study and I want to share with you. And so take care.